Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm the young adult librarian at the Rock Island Public Library, and today's Manga Monday title is Happy Kanako's Killer Life. And in this book, you meet an office worker. Her name is Nishino Kanako, and she works for just this really terrible boss. I think she's at like an ad agency, and she gets to the point in her job, it's like, what am I even doing? Like, I got into this business because I wanted to have a job that I liked, have something that was interesting and exciting, and instead she just has this terrible boss who is constantly having her work long hours, and he bullies her, he's like verbally abusive, and so she quits. She finally quits this job. Like, I can't do this anymore, I gotta leave. And she does, and right away, she goes and applies for a new job. And she just kind of gets into the phone book, and like the first company she sees, she's just like going down the line, like, okay, here it is, I'm going to try and do this, because she doesn't even know what the company does. Like, she applies for this job, and she finds, much to her surprise, that she has applied for a job as an assassin. This is full color manga, which I always think these are fun. And I will say, at first Kanako is horrified. She's like, wait, hang on, sorry, what does this company do? Well, they kill people for money. And the person who ends up being Kanako's first job is her former boss. Like, somebody else has put out a hit on him. And she's looking through, like, the sight of a sniper rifle thinking, oh my gosh, can I really end another human being's life? And it turns out yes. It turns out yes, she can. Now, I will say, like, the way this first one happened, she's like, oh my gosh, my finger slipped. Like, I wasn't really consciously thinking, okay, time to die. She pulled the trigger and that was it. And you don't see, like, there's other people at the company whose job is responsible for cleaning up the aftermath of these hits. And so Kanako, as an assassin, I mean, at first, again, she's kind of shocked and a little bit horrified at herself. But what I will say is that, let's see, the salary is 600,000 yen. That's the starting salary. So I think that's equivalent to like 60 grand a year. Pretty good. Hours are 10 to 7, plus you get weekends off. Again, for a job in Japan, this is really good. Like, there's a lot of work expected from most companies, and when you're just starting off, maybe you don't make that much money. Maybe you're expected to work on weekends too. And so Kanako's like, well, hang on, I do need a job. I don't know if I can do this job where I kill people for money, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it for a little while and see how it goes. And so she ends up basically being a genius at killing people. And part of this is because Kanako kind of has like a lifetime of rage built up. Like, she's always been somebody who's been seen as like kind of quiet and shy, and she liked to like draw manga when she was in school, and she had like one friend who she didn't think they were that close. Like, eventually they reconnect in this book as adults, but it was like, oh yeah, I drew your poster for class president, but we didn't really like hang out. And so Kanako is somebody who has always been sort of overlooked and bullied, and now she has this job where, I mean, she can let out the feelings she's been keeping down her whole life. And what I will say is, she's not somebody who swears. Like, Kanako doesn't swear. There's all these animals on the cover because she does these puns. Like, okay, there's, yeah, almost no swearing. Like, gosh darn doggone it, that's like, I had a rough day at the office. Like, the hit I was doing, I screwed up and I killed them in the wrong way and I made a mess. And now I made extra work for my coworkers and I feel bad. So, I mean, this job works out, much to Kanako's surprise. In this first volume, she's still kind of learning the ropes, and she's trying to not be conspicuous as an assassin. But one of the first things she's told by her new boss is, become a legend. Like, okay, you're really kind of audacious. Like, you've killed people, yes, from a distance, but also you've done this on trains with other people nearby. Like, somebody is like assaulting women on the train, and you just murdered that guy in the middle of the day. And that's not usually how we do things, but hey, you're making it work, because again, Kanako is always blended in. And so she really isn't noticed by people. Like, she's just an average looking woman who dresses still, even as an assassin, like she's an office worker. And so other people, other assassins, including like this guy who is sort of like the tough person training her, is like, wow, you snuck up on me. Like, I didn't know you were there. And this is a thing where Kanako's like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, I didn't mean to startle. And it's like, no, part of my job is to be aware where people are at all times. Like, the fact that you could sneak up on somebody who's trained is pretty impressive. But again, it comes down to like her having sort of low self-esteem up until this point in her life. So as the book goes on, I mean, Kanako, yes, she's killing people, but she's really starting to feel better about herself. Again, many of the people she's killing, in fact, perhaps all in this first volume, when she knows who they are and like learns a little bit more about them, it's like, oh, I get why somebody put a hit on this person. They're terrible. They're making life worse for other people. And I mean, she has to get to a point where it's like, okay, I know that violence can't solve all my problems, but there are some problems that can be solved through violence, and I can do that violence, apparently. So, if you like comedy manga, it's very strange. It's this woman who, like, she's very nervous to, like, go out with this friend from junior high. Like, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, this person was a friend, but it's been years. What are we going to talk about? But at the same time, I mean, she's doing this job where she is just day after day taking these jobs, doing this work that requires her to be a cold-blooded killer. And again, like, something about her really takes to this. And by the end of this first one, I will say too, there are a couple of cops who are kind of starting to become aware that, hey, certain types of people have been murdered recently, and it looks like a professional job. So Kanako, she's not interviewed as a suspect, but rather because she was an employee of the abusive boss, who ended up being her first kill. And so it becomes a little unclear, like, the cop seems to maybe like, oh, does he have a crush on her? And Kanako is sort of not knowing what to do with this sudden attention, because it's like, okay, is this person interested in me romantically, or is he asking me to, like, talk with him because he's a cop and I've killed people, so no, I don't want to go to jail forever. So if you're a manga fan and you're looking for just a fun, different series, check this out. And thank you for watching. I will see you again in June.